So, I mean, obviously, my next question was going to be, what do you feel is needed? It sounds like you're already providing it, but can you just break that down for us a bit so that we can see what the benefits would be?
So the biggest problem, like I said, time management is the number one concern for emerging leaders. And when you're in sales, it is, I hate using the word grind. I wish we would stop using grind, because grind means dull, meaningless work. And why would anyone do dull, meaningless work? But there's a lot of hustle, and it's quotas, carrots, and quarters. It's just a lot of stuff coming at you. There's not a lot of time. They barely have time to like work on their business, let alone doing a leadership course. So the topics that I have a 10-week course, but it's very specific about, like, we go through mindset. So what are the mindset shifts? It starts with mindset. What are the mindset shifts that need to happen so people can say, okay, yep, that worked for me in sales. That's not going to work for me in leadership. For example, this is like a really easy one I always say as an example, but you run around with your head cut off in sales and you look like you're committed. You run around with your head cut off in sales leadership, you look like you should be committed, like you can't handle it, right? Like you're breaking down and you're going to have to, but that's the big thing. And then setting up, making sure that your team has their culture, their values, you understand your leadership style. You don't have to be just like your sales leader was. Just like I don't have to mother the way that my mother mothered. My mom was an awesome mother, but I'm in the middle of 7 kids.
I understand.
You don't have to become your parent. You can take what you learned through what they did wrong and what they did right, and then implement it. So we talk about a lot about that, because if you don't get your values right and discuss the type of culture you want to have in your leadership style, you don't attract the right people. You're not recruiting the right people. You don't train in the right way. Everything else falls off. We talk a lot about trust. We go through the motivation and momentum and metrics, like understanding numbers. There's a lot, and then 2 things that I love to talk about. And I talk about in my book, I wrote a book about goal setting, but 2 chapters were devoted to energy management and time management. And those are really important too. So we break through all of that, and so you have an accountability, and they go, oh, we talk about feedback, communication, like salespeople have CRMs for sales, but they don't have a tracker for their team. So I'm like, here's a tracker for your team. Are you monitoring the technical skills, but also the mental and emotional skills you're teaching your team, right? So, because leaders, they go one way, right? They like teaching technical, or they're all about how you feeling, so if you can combine those, but that's what this is. It's very specific. And I think that's always the greatest gift you can give someone, is just specific information on what their needs currently are.